Hello there and welcome to our podcast. My name is Lefentse Masha and I will be your host doing the most. We go by the name of Dlalisa Moyeni, and of course this is our podcast. We are super excited. I don't know how to express this, but welcome to it, guys. And we are excited to be here. We are excited to join in hands with you and build a community. Guys, we are a foundation that comes from Mamelodi, Kasi in Pretoria, and we are all about raising the boy child. Now, today I'm with the founders, Bongani's Skosana as well as Tumisang's Skosana. I don't want to go too far in, but I want them to explain in depth and in further as to what the Dlalisa Moyeni Foundation is all about. I want them to tell it to us like it is. Listen, from when the foundation started to where it is currently, where they're seeing it in the next 5 years, and some of the challenges that they have also experienced as they've been on this journey. But let me not go too far. Let me take this time to welcome our lovely guests. Tumisang, Skosana, welcome.
Thank you so much.
How are you?
I'm very good.
You're good.
I'm very good and I'm excited to be here.
You look beautiful.
So do you.
Thank you. Bongani, thank you so much for joining us and welcome. How are you?
I'm okay, New. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, lovely. Lishap.
I'm George.
No, all right, innit? Yeah. All right. Guys, it has been a journey. It has been, I don't know, it gets super crazy or what, but we are finally here. The podcast is happening and the vision it's happening. But let's go back a little bit, right? Let's go back because some people don't know hore Bongani ke mang, ba bang ha ba tsebe hore Tumisang ke mang. But I'd love for us to actually start there, to say who is Bongani, who is Tumisang, and how did you give birth to this baby? I think I'll start with you, Bongani.
Okay. Lebitso la ka ke nna Bongani Skosana, born and bred in Mamelodi. Ke holetse mo I did my primary school go a school called Ndima Primary School. I proceeded Katsena go Jafta Mahlangu, and then I went to varsity University of Pretoria, and then I did my studies there and I qualified as an accountant. So basically that's my background. I also, in as much as maybe this body must not deceive you, I used to be a soccer player, but I had to make a very serious, conscious, tough decision because I'm a church boy, and then, you know, soccer and church at that time, it was contradicting because I had to choose. And even my parents at the time, or my people who were raising me, you know, I always had problems. Hey, when you spend too much time, go bolong. And then I knowing bolo is a very short-lived career. So then I think my studies and church life took a greater part of my life. So I was raised in church, and then I focused on my career, and then, yeah.
I think we'll come back to that. I hope you don't have any regrets in terms of you having not fulfilled your soccer career.
There's a bit of it, not regret as such, but curiosity.
Okay.
Because my concern was that, hey, Boloman is very short-lived. I mean, you don't want to do something over in your prime for 5 years or so, and then what after that? What? And a whole snap back up. So, and then, you know, but location, and we come from disadvantaged background. So you have to think of yourself, how you're going to make life of yourself. And then Nekebona Bolo is a viable option at a time. You know, things now have changed. Yeah. I mean, soccer is at another level. It's professionalized. Soccer players are earning a lot of money. But I'm curious, if I continued, yeah, because a lot of other professional players, I played with them. And I so much believe maybe I was even better than them. But yeah, it's a story for another day.
All right. Perhaps that day is today. Tumisang, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tumisang, ke mang, o goletse kae, o godile bjang? And ultimately, we are here today.
Yeah, my name is Tumisang Skosana. I almost said Mtsweni. Mina, I was born and bred in Mamelodi. I'm a PK pastor's kid. You know, as he was narrating his story, primary school, and I was just reflecting on that myself, preparing in my head, what am I going to say? The one thing that I remember about my childhood is how we grew up in a shack. We stayed in a shack for like 7 years. Ko Mamelodi, ko Tsakane, one of the most roughest neighborhood. And my dad being a pastor, he would travel to and fro, go Botswana. And being the firstborn, I took care of my siblings. And I remember there were times that Daddy would come back home, find the door not locked. And the thugs that lived around our area, you would never come to our shack without them questioning you, omang o batlang. They raised us, Mara, Bo Brajimi, Lebo Maka, that lived around our area, took care of us. They, you know, I know we are from, like, we live in a world where it's rough, it's not safe. But in the neighborhood that I grew up in, we were taken care by the thugs. Were the ones that you know. Our shack was not even fenced, you know, so we never experienced any theft. The grace of God was really upon our family, and you know, after 94, we could go to English schools, Pinari, we studied there, Jacques Pinari, and then Rahola, Katsena ko Tlephem, from Tlephem, I went to university, UNISA, I did a BA in psychology, and then somehow I ended up being a teacher, and I hated school, but anyway, it's also a story for another day. And then finally, I was of age, got married to this lovely man. And we, you know, when the Bible says it's very important for people to be equally yoked, and I feel that's what we have. We are yoked evenly. Honalemo aling weak and I'm strong, and vice versa. And when he shared that he wants to give back to boys, actually maybe going into the story of how Dlalisa was born, he said to me one day, Hore, his father was not known, Ubabu Moyeni. That's the name comes from Dlalisa Moyeni was his name. So he said nobody knew him, and he feels good his dad died without anybody knowing him. And he wants his memory to live on forever. And he's like, you know, I have this vision. I want to take care of boy children. It was tough growing up without a father, and I don't want other boys to feel that. So Dlalisa is born from his pain. So what hurt him and disadvantaged him, somehow it's turning out to be an advantage
and a blessing for other kids.
And that's how it was born. We actually started after COVID, where we would cook. And I remember then Amahle, our fourth born, was 7 months old, and I would cook for 500 people. My mom would take care of the baby, and I would cook Lebo Mane Mandwa, you know, and other ladies that we were working with, and then we'd cook those 500 meals. Horebatu, because they were not Nebasname Verego at that time. You know how we were retrenched, and it was very hard economically. So we cooked and we fed the community Akosifo and surrounding areas. And at the beginning, yes, we wanted to take care of a boy child, but we started with the community. And then as the years progressed, it was narrowed down because its inception was for boy children. But when we wanted to launch it, there was a need in the community, and that's where we started
Dlalisa
from.
Moyeni started from. Tumisang, thank you. You expressed further as to say how the foundation was birthed. But I want to come a little bit on this side to Bongani to say, how was it, Bongani, growing up without your father? I love what Tumisang is saying to say, you felt that your father was not known. And if he's not known, then he's not celebrated as you believe he should have been. Take us through that, growing up without a father.
Yeah, it was a very difficult and painful experience. Remember, as a boy child, your validation must come from a man and from a father. Because who can teach you better to become a man than a man himself? So my father passed on, I was only 6 years old. And at the time, the memories that I had, beautiful ones, the only thing that I was sure of was that my father loves me. And I had a lot of incidences where I could prove. There was a time when my father and my mom had a bit of a disagreement. Now, my father, he said, you know what, whatever happens, I want my kids. So he was fighting for his kids. I remember he was having us, my older brother, and then he was Nampile Mudimumu. And then they were fighting a guy to say, nah, whatever happens, I'm going with my kids. Nobody can separate me with my kids. So unfortunately, I never got to experience that love fully. And it was very tough because then when I needed a father, he was not there. I mean, at school, primary, who would be the person to buy you soccer boots? It's a father. He was not there, and then people will be telling their experiences about their father. I couldn't share anything. So it was very, very...
Was there something?
Yes, there was. I'm very thankful there was my grandfather on my maternal side, because after my father passed on, then he said, look, my grandchildren and my child must come back, because the thing then they raised us. So unfortunately, Leana, he passed on. I was still very young. I mean, then I had to lose him as well. So, but like Ilesa said, I grew up in church. In church, there's pastors, there's leaders around the community. I had a coach who was like a father figure to me. In church, you had a pastor, you had Bontate King, who were guiding me towards becoming what I am today. So, but I'm saying the experience is never the same. You are always longing to say, hey, I wish my father was here. Or what will my father say, or what will my father do in every experience that I went through. So I felt like, you know what, I need to say that most definitely, and I'm 100% sure, and nobody else can convince me otherwise, for my father loved me. And I needed to say, he never had an opportunity to express that love in my life until a later age in life. So I said, let his memory of loving his children,
that memory that you still have, that lives so vividly.
Let me translate that and show and express to a fatherless boy child to say, there is a father who can love you irrespectively, being willing to fight for you, to provide for you, whatever it takes. Yeah.
Take us through how that was for your mom, because now I'm thinking on her end as well, having to be a mom, having to be a father at some point. Like you said, who better to raise a boy child than a man who understands the stages that he's gone through and ultimately ufitisa ngwana hae mo. But then your mom had to play that role. How was it like in your eyes, looking at your mom raising you and your siblings?
It was very tough indeed. You'll remember in the past, not for everybody, But bomme, they were responsible for taking care of the household and raising the kids. And then one that they were supposed to work. My mother was a wife. Her responsibility was to take care of us and then taking care of the household. So when my father passed on, obviously, she was a housewife. Then she came back. We stayed le kuku. But also we must remember, it's us and cousins. So my mom had to take care of all of us. It means she was responsible to make sure that we eat every day. She cleans after us. And then also she had to be a voice, to teach us certain things for a color. So it was not easy for her because we were not alone. There were other cousins, and at the time, because she was the eldest sister, she also had a responsibility of taking care of other kids, but the siblings it's a high because obviously the siblings due to work and whatever. Nakola khale, people will say, "Bana haba kholele ko kuku." So in my grandmother's house, there was a lot of us, and even extended family members, because they would come and at some phases in their life, they would sit with us. So all my life, I had to share. There was never a time where I even had the privilege and enjoying my mom, to say, this is my mom. Let me enjoy being a son to her. She was faced with a lot of responsibilities of taking care of everybody else, including me, and including the household, including my grandmother as well. As she grew older, obviously, she was the primary
caregiver. And you can imagine even her thought process at that time. You're a young widow, you have to take care of everyone who's in the household. I can imagine how tough it was.
It was, and I think, even the healing process, because remember, in as much as people get married, two families come together, but when death comes, us as Africans, so it was, as I said, my experience, I remember, Skosana, it was a fight. We buried my father today, the same day we had to leave. I remember Mamhola Gomong, she was fighting with men, saying, I've got a mandate of saying I must take my sister and Lebanabahai back to her father, and no one is going to stop me. Sure. And you can see the commotion. People are having meeting that is heavily charged, of fighting over the kids and my mom. But you know how it's like on the father side of the family. I believe, I might be wrong, the only thing that they were concerned about was, these are our kids, Abantwana ba Skosana, so they must remain with the Skosanas. But I'm very thankful because years later, when I go back there, in my father's side of the family, where I was supposed to stay behind, things are bad. Economically, socially, you would have 4 generations living in one house. So you can imagine if
Had you stayed there,
if what would have happened if Mamholaga didn't fight, if my grandfather didn't fight, I was going to be the same as my cousins now. Because where the state they are now, it was going to be my destiny. So I'm very thankful that she actually fought to the end, where ultimately, forcefully so, we had to leave on the same day after we've buried my father. And it's a very sad thing because, I was still young. To this day, I still don't know. I know the grave yard where my father was buried, but we don't know his grave. That's how bad the situation was. Yeah.
That is, because I'm trying to grapple with everything that you're saying now. But I want to come to when it bit you, that I have to honor this man. When was it? Your wife has just shared with us that this was when you just had your 4th baby. Was it something that you have been thinking about? I want to honor my father. I want to honor my father. But eventually, perhaps this is how I can honor him, honor his name through a foundation. When did it bite you? How did you also translate that to your wife to say, well, King, I want to do this?
It has always been a longing for many years, even in my schooling life, because remember, you carry your father's identity. And then as you grow, you ask yourself, ke namang? You know, ke Skosana. Who is Skosana? You know, I'm growing on the maternal side of the family, ke Maphanga, and then big ups to them. They've done a good job with me. Yeah. But there's always that need will never go away. And then I kept on trying to find myself in that journey. In order to find yourself and to have a glimpse of who your father is, you want to relate. I need to be close to my father's side of the family. And I've tried. I mean, there was always that longing to say, hey, I need to be with Batubabo Papaka. And I would always reach out. Wanted to, but it was never enough, because remember, they've got their lives. I mean, who have their own families. Yes,
but it
stuck with me. And then, look, we've got a good relationship now. Yeah. But I'm just saying, there was still that need of saying, hey, I need to belong. But then I came to my senses to say, because some of the things I can't control, but I can build a memory for my dad so that he cannot be forgotten. Because it looks like, because sometimes when you go to family gatherings, this guy, there's a guy called Dlalisa. Where is he in the picture now? Yeah. And then I said, you know what, I need to honor the memory of this guy. To say, because every time I say, tell me about my father. My father, then that conversation is not there. But I said, I need to make my father live beyond his grave. And then let me make sure that his memory is honored. And I always had it in my mind to say, I have to do something to make sure that my father, Dlalisa, can never be forgotten. It can be a name that can ring a bell everywhere and everywhere. But the biggest memory is the love that he has for boy children. So it has, but it came to a point where, women, they are good in making something grow. You give a seed to a woman, they will make it grow. And then when I shared the vision with my wife, and she grew it. I mean, the amazing work that she's doing with boys, it's so amazing. And then I'm so thankful for the match.
That was made in heaven.
That was made in heaven. To fulfill my passion and the memory. Yeah, Dlalisa.
Let me come to you, Tumisang, to say, here's your husband who says, this is what I want to do for my father. You don't know your father-in-law, I get. No. How mutsevi. And he's saying, and you have your father. I want to remember my father. I want to he comes to you with this vision. What was it like for you? Remember when I started, I said, this is a baby. From birth and all the way up. What was that conversation like for you? How was that receptive for you? And you mentioned that you have 4 kids.
Yeah. It was a very tough journey. We actually have 5 children.
5 kids, all right.
Yeah. When he shared the vision, what he wanted, I'm just wondering in my head, should I go back all the way? Because there are some sensitive issues, but, I guess the truth, he'll kill me later. But, he had such a longing to connect with his dad, He was like, what, he started looking for his father where he was buried. And he looked and he looked and he looked, and he kept on not getting it, And I was like, hey, love you, why we are bordering on, like the longing for his dad was so intense that he wanted to locate his grave. And obviously, a grave, he's long gone. 1989 was a long time ago. But that longing was so deep, that him not finding that grave, abantu abadala never populate, it's there, but eventually we did not really get it. But then that longing changed into, I want to do something for my dad. So I couldn't maybe locate where he's buried, but I can locate what he stands for, what he stood for, the man that I've known him to be. And this is the location where Dlalisa Moyeni is. He is a father to boys in Mamelodi. And I understand that, at times when we are hurt, I've got my dad, Reverend J.J. Mtsweni, a loving father, etc., etc. And sometimes you don't relate with someone when things are well with you. But my husband has experienced various kinds of losses, and I've seen that the strength that he has is to translate what was not working, what was painful, into something sensible, into something. He always wants to change the narrative. And that's the strength that he has, that from not being able to know even where my father was buried, he translated that pain into something that we all see today. It was not locked up with him and him being angry at the world and etc. But he changed it into something beautiful that we can all benefit from. We've got boys, soccer, about 400 so boys that are in the club, in the football club, on a daily basis that we see. We've got boys from schools. We've adopted 6 schools in Mamelodi high schools, where we also have children there that we see on a weekly basis. We've got mentorship program. We've got a relationship with them. One of the boys one time said, yeah, Dlalisa Moyeni Neitla, it's one of those organizations, they're going to come and go. But they've stood with us. We met them when they were in grade 10. Now, Kema Metriki, we have a session once a month with them where they come to our house. We eat, and then we talk on strategies. We're dealing with maths and English. How best way we're tackling on subjects that are very difficult, topics that are difficult, and they appear teaching each other on how to navigate Euclidean geometry for those who are doing pure maths, for those who are doing maths-led measurements. We have found a space where there was once pain, there's brotherhood. Sure. Where there was once neglect, there's fellowship. So it's a place of, we are always growing. And from the baby that Dlalisa Moyeni was, 2020, now I think a toddler. It's amayang. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. Some of the things we didn't do right here, like the program, mentorship, we've seen that the numbers have dropped. So we're trying to change, or maybe let's do a holiday club where we can have the boys, because it seemed like we were clashing and etc. So as parents, there's no manual book. This is how you do it. So we are finding our way. There are lots of mistakes, but we're rectifying them, in the bedroom, and we're saying, this one is not working, I was even saying to him, like, our bedroom sounds like that soccer measure. It's like that voice, commentator. It's where our relationship is and where the foundation is at. We need to accommodate those sessions. How can we do it? And it's been great. It's been great to even see Dlalisa Moyeni Football Club as its matches, So the milestone that we are slowly growing into, and then with every reflection, we need to look back and say what's working, what's not working, and how can we improve it. But it's been a very humbling journey to see how a mess can turn into a message.
So beautiful. I love how you express it, how you explain it, to say from pain, something so beautiful was birthed. And obviously from its infancy, like you said, now it's a toddler, it's moving slowly but surely, and we're seeing what's working for us and what's not working. But as I'm listening to you, as you're speaking, I want to come to the point to ask that, do you appreciate your father more now?
I do.
Or rather, even your parents?
I do, because now he has become the favorite one now. Is Bongani this, Bongani that, Mama would even go to an extent, and then that entitlement from me. I'm very grateful for my parents, the way they raised me, and being a PK, we've always had to share too. So when he came into our family, sharing our parents was very natural, because we are wired like that. Pastor's children, we wired to share, and we brought into community. So it was not a struggle to share him, with my parents. And they have a very, very good relationship. Udedi, no love. Miles Monroe says that a lady never leaves, because the Bible says the men must live and cleave to their wife. So it means the wife is moved from her father's house into another father's hands. So I've never felt like there was a transition. Obviously, I was not living at home. There is that difference. But my dad and my husband, it's the flip side of the coin. It's like the same person. I've never felt I'm estranged, or I'm in a foreign place. He's my husband, he loves me, but I've never felt different, like the way my dad made me feel protected and loved and nourished, and always allowing me a space to shine, And like I always say, Dlalisa Moyeni is a seed that came from him. But now you don't know who's who at this, because we are such one in this vision, and we have grown to see when Hari Jarisana Morwalo, it becomes easier. And I don't know who did what. It's an effort, it's a collected effort of both people who are sharing something. And I was saying to him, yes, maybe now we are focused on Dlalisa. God knows what we'll focus on that I come up with. But for now, we are very grateful. Even our children.
It's one voice.
It's one voice. Even our children, our 7-year-old Umtogozis, he's very vocal about Dlalisa Moyeni Foundation, and we're doing this. So it's a family effort. Even our eldest daughter, Carissa, we are even training her. One day you're going to take over, and you're going to do things in this way. So it's when a man leads, and I want to say this, and I don't want to hohata di concepts of the feminist, but one thing I've realized is that when men are given their position, not their competition, not their hurry, they want to oppress women. When men are given their position, dilo di tsama as naturally as the sun rising and setting. But when men are not given their position, when they're not honored, because we are fighting for our rights as women, but we don't understand that there's no need to fight. Just align.
As they should. Then it falls into
He
place.
came with the vision, but I'm the CEO of this company, of this organization. And the way I'm leading it allows me as a woman to be heard, to be seen. But the leadership came from him. And when things are done orderly, when the husband, when the man, when the boy knows who they are, they do the right thing. But when they don't, they become mischievous, they become angry, they become bullies. Baba, all these things that they're not supposed to be because they're not rightly aligned with who God has called them to be.
Wow. I love that. And having said that, I think the world would be a far better place if men actually took their positions and they knew the call. And this world would be a better place, honestly. I'm thinking, as you're speaking also, can I also come to you, Bongani, as well, to say, how has the foundation, in as much as le khudisa the boy children as well, how has it made you grow as a person? Because now you are, many young boys, in the manner of which you are doing things as well, how you are upholding yourself within the community, how you speak to them. How has it also made you grow as a person?
It has helped me to grow a lot and be careful on what I do, because there's a serious responsibility that is on us, or that is on me as a father figure. These kids now look up to me. So my life is no longer mine. So I need to tread carefully because I'm accountable. Because my action can influence a boy child positively and negatively. Sure. So it has always helped me to be more conscious in terms of what I do, what I say, where I go. Because you'll never know who's watching. Because sometimes, you become a role model, and then just imagine when somebody is modeling himself or his life around you, then you disappoint him by just a mere behavior. Because now it will sing when, yes, when somebody sees that, then he would take it as correct, because he looks up to you. That says, if Bongani Skosana is doing it, then it means it's right. Yeah. So then you begin to be self-conscious in terms of what you do, what you say, and how you conduct yourself. But it also helps you with discipline. Remember, we are not, we are human beings. Every human being has his own devil inside. But it also helps you and guide you to say, hey, conduct yourself carefully, so that the devil that is fighting to come out, you actually, the fact that you are leading boy children makes you then to be saying, hey, you have one this thing. How will it look like when I behave in a particular way and some boy is watching? So it has helped me a lot in terms of my discipline and my behavior as a father, even in my household, because I make sure that I conduct myself fitting to be called a father.
Coming just there to your sons, how has your parenting style been towards them as well?
Yeah. Remember, I don't have a base. As I said, I don't have an experience of how it's like to have a father. So it was... well, I don't want to say challenging, but a very exciting change, because at the end of the day, I don't have a manual to say how it's like, or what is it that I should do to become a good father. So it was a lot of trial and error. But through the experience, obviously kids are not the same. And then you learn your kids, and then they also guide you and teach you on how to raise them, because it's not like one pot for everybody. You have to customize your guidance towards them differently. I mean, I've got two beautiful boys. They're not the same. How I raise my firstborn, Ubongu Musa, is different, or how I relate to him is different than how I relate to Umtogozis. But more than anything else, I know, and now they know in their heart. As I said before, the only memory that I have and that I don't want to make a mistake, is they say, my father loves me. And then once I got that thing right, everything else flows. So I think my kids were in sync. I've got a very soft spot for all my kids, even my boys, maybe
And
girls especially, and they know. So
More for boys.
yeah. So my wife, she's actually the one who has to have a stronger hand. Yeah, I can never say no to them. Like they know. Kurba itsurban tswaragara abon. Hey, parile go mamaro. He'll never say no, and then they want to come. The luckiest thing, you know, as parents, you must work as a team.
Sure.
We talk about decision making towards them. So, then in their mind, because they are young, says, maybe daddy doesn't know, I'm going to ask daddy.
And this,
Yeah, then I already
you already know.
We've already made a decision
Yeah.
about issues, but they've got very strong characters, and then if you're not strong, they can, hey, banga dila loena. So yeah, I've learned how to channel them, to give them the right protocol. And then it says, Daddy, you are doing this tomorrow. I says, no, hey, let's go talk to mommy first, you know. But some of the things we plan, I mean, the thing that I like and the influence that I had on them, my kids are well organized. They don't like uncertainty. They're like me. Say, Dad, what's the plan for tomorrow? What time do I go for training? You know, they want specifics to say, how is going to be the day be like? So they don't want to find themselves not knowing what's happening tomorrow. They always want details. And sometimes it's a bit irritating, but I love it because I see I'm also like that.
You
because
see yourself?
yes, I see myself in them that, hey, by the way, this is a kind of a person I am. But it's a good thing. They learn at a very early age to be organized.
Given your background of you not having your father, have you awarded yourself grace in raising them? Not only your sons, but your children altogether.
Yeah, tricky. I don't know. I think so. As I said, we all, you know how God has created us. There's a hidden God-given grace that He has given you to become what you are supposed to be. As I said, I didn't have a reference point. My reference point was very early in my childhood phase, where I experienced a father, and then I experienced a grandfather, and then they are gone. So I don't have anything to refer to. But the natural God-given grace that has been imparted to me, you know how to, your instinct guide you on what is the relevant thing that you must do, the things that you must say in order to raise your kids. Yeah.
Let's talk more about the foundation, and I want to hear about the success stories that have been birthed from the foundation, that aha moment to say, but God. You know, from the young boys, from the inception of the foundation, and you're seeing that change, that reason for the foundation. You're actually seeing it in one of the boys, or maybe not even one, but, you know, a number of them or most of them. Let's talk about that, how that also moved you, how that explains, you know, that moment when you thought, are we really doing this foundation, Lord? Or are we really going ahead with this? Or where are we going to get the finance for this? But you see it in that young boy, right? You see it when this particular boy started with the foundation. Maybe he didn't have shoes. Maybe he didn't have respect for himself or even a manner of speech. But 5 years later down, you are seeing the reason why this foundation was birthed. Take me through them, because I know you also have a mentoring program where you talk to the boys and, you know, perhaps you even pray over them or pray for them to say, Lord, please change this and that. Take me through that.
You know, as soon as you said, take me, Andani rang in my head. Like, he is our success story. He is a boy from Lusaka. Mamelodi Township, Far East. He attended Skolo ko Ribanelaka, Science and Technology School, I think. Yeah. So my husband is one of those students who got 7 straight A's matric. He's an A student.
Yeah.
And then financially, when we were good back in those times, we would give scholarships. And he said he's going to give a scholarship to students who are going to do exceptionally well, etc., etc. And I was like, good. And then I came and I said, you know what? Not all of us are A students, but I want to award a student who's going to improve.
Who'll work hard.
Who'll work hard. Yeah. So I said, even if it means that you're moving from a level 3 to a 5, you have to at least move 2 levels up a grade across all your grades. So I put that challenge across, and I said there's a 10,000 Rand reward for any student who's going to improve. And okay, fine, the students took the challenge and they did it. And then I remember getting a call from Principal Zibingoma, and she said to me, we've got a student who has improved. This boy has improved so much that he got 5 distinctions, I think. And then he's the most improved learner. I was like, what? Now this one had a whole printed check, and then we were presenting it at the school. You know, the tragedy was that this boy did not think he was going to do so well because he didn't apply the previous year in any university.
So he was in matric?
He was in matric.
Okay.
And then he did so well that he far exceeded his expectation. Maybe the drive was, the reward, getting the money, but nonetheless, he was the most improved learner. And then because he didn't have, and we specifically mentioned that this check is going to go towards learning. It's not a check that you're going to do whatever you want. It's going to be towards your learning. So Andani had not applied in any university. Yeah. So he was our first gap year boy. Now, because he didn't have any plan for that year, we took him in. He became the first candidate for our gap year program that we're running now. And we've got 20 boys now. So back then, he was the first one. He was the only one. And we taught him, Mr. Skosana actually took him under his wing. We taught him the business things that he needed to learn. We mentored him in terms of school. We mentored him in terms of raising other boy children. He was like now the big brother, taking care of other younger boys that were coming. And one thing I enjoyed with Andani was how this boy who did not have confidence, who was very shy, very soft-spoken, a very humble vendor boy from a very humble home, he started blossoming into this still respectful but articulate and expressive young man. And he knows who he is. And the most important thing that I loved was when he found his identity in God. Because it's good and well to say we're raising boy children, but I love that we raise our boys to fear God. Because when people fear God, then it's automatic to love and fear others and respect them, actually not even fear them. But if there's no reverence for the Creator, who are people, you will have no regard for them. So when reverence is given to God first, then humanity will be respected because it's the right hierarchy. So when Andani, turned his life to the Lord and he grew up in the organization, he started being our ambassador, and he applied in various universities, finally got into University of Pretoria. He's doing mechanical engineering. I was about to say,
where is he now?
So he's doing mechanical engineering. It's his 2nd year. Like, we are celebrating with him. I told him, when you graduate, me and your mom, I'm the deputy mom, we are going to be celebrating because we've seen a boy child who has totally turned his life around in our very eyes, and we've seen it repeatedly. He's the first boy that we saw the change in, but there's several others that, they would say, so I don't want to mention them because
there are a number
of them. And the thing is, you can see the change in their eyes. We might not maybe quantify it, we've transformed 1,000 boys, but because I meet with them on a daily basis, we've got sessions on Fridays, you can see the change. When a boy tells you, I used to use dacha or marijuana as a substance that helps me calm down, but now I've learned to find better ways of calming myself down. I no longer resort to violence. I've made peace that my dad is not around, and it's okay with me. And chairman, abanye bambiza chairman ke papa rona.
Yes.
And they are able, that wound bana linyona, slowly but surely it's healing.
And nana leona leena.
Wow. We are all healing. Yeah, we're all healing. Yeah.
I absolutely love it. And thank you guys. Thank you guys for what you are doing in the community. I like to use this. You are burning out, putting out that fire. And I think Tumisang said it so well, Hore. Something that started off as a pain for one is healing the nation, because this is exactly what it's doing. And I don't know if you realize that it's not only touching this particular boy, but I think it's also touching generations to come.
Definitely.
Not only this one boy that you are seeing or dealing with in the foundation, but it's actually speaking to the generations behind this young lad. So big ups to you guys. You guys are doing a great job within the community. You are community builders, community leaders. And yes, there's that level of self-control that needs to be there. There's that level of checking in with self as a community leader to say, hey, but before we sign out, guys, I'd just love to hear from you, Bongani, as to say, who would you love to partner with? Who would you... That community, but they've got businesses as well. Who would you love to make that call out to? To say, come and help us. How young, from who and how can they be helpful to the organization too? Because well, not necessarily Lesotho, but it takes a village to raise a child. It's not only done by one. You are helping a number of households, but then who's helping Dlalisa? How then can you be helped?
Okay. We need help and partnerships. Let me say this first. As we build Dlalisa Moyeni Foundation, there's a scripture, we are building our house on a mountain top for everybody to see. Because the thing that we don't want, remember, and I've looked at, with my experience, seeing foundations and public benefit organizations, then they say, we've got a dream, we want to do this, and then they would identify a serious need where they need to help. But then they don't want to start. And then they are waiting for somebody to come help them start. And for us, we said, let's build this house, being on the mountaintop. And have you seen a house on the mountaintop? It's for everybody to see and watch, and for everybody to be part of it.
To marvel at it, yeah.
So we are open to everybody because we have put ourselves on the mountaintop to say, here's the house that is going to be the hope for everybody. Wow. Let's come together to build this house even further. We are open to like-minded organizations that are aligned with what we want to do. And I don't want to... Remember, once you get a boy child right, already you are solving a GVB issue. Other people will always say, but no, we are girls, and you say you are only a boy-child organization. We are saying we are preparing boys so that they can be ready to be responsible fathers and husbands for you. And then, so we are particular in what we are doing and how we are tackling issues. But there should be an alignment in terms of shared vision. We are open to everybody who wants to work with us. Through volunteerism, I mean, we are running a mentorship program. A mentorship program, we need role models, we need mentors from different professions. Young people are aspiring to become something. Professionals come join us. We also, in the soccer field, we're working with legends as well to say, you've experienced being a professional soccer player. Yeah. How was your experience? Tell us about it so that we can empower these boys. And one of the biggest challenges as well, obviously, as we can see, the vision is big. The impact that we're doing is big. We will be lying to say we are self-sufficient. We don't need partnership in terms of finance. We are open to that. But you can see the dream. You can see the impact. If you are aligned and everybody who believes so much in raising a boy child and making sure we create a better future, responsible fathers who will lead us in the future, come and join us. We are open to partnerships. We are open to work together towards the ultimate goal of making sure that we build a better boy child who's going to be a responsible leader in the future.
Of course.
Yeah.
And just signing out from you, Tumisang?
I would like to see more men, specifically men. You know, fathers are very important, or male, especially black males. I feel they are not coming to the front as they ought to, for various reasons. I feel our boys, because some of their fathers are absent, it would be well to have other men who are saying, I'm here to volunteer, and I'm here to spend time with boy children, and I'm here to affirm boy children, and I'm here to tell them that there was a mind map there, and I don't want you to step on it. There are things that I've done in my life that I would not necessarily want you to follow in those traps. I've got children with various women. I did not do justice to those women. Those women are bitter. I don't want you to fall in those traps, because there's certain things, and because most of our boys come from single-headed homes by women, they keep hearing the female voice consistently. So it's not bad. Mara, I think it's time fathers, males, should take off the pressure to be present in whatever way. And I don't think, sometimes we could say this is the kind of help, but I feel if men could come and join and partner with us, they would even see needs that I would not necessarily have seen, because I'm not a man, And every man has a different story to share, whether they were from a broken home or not. I feel that men need to be given a platform to step up and do right, because I do not believe that men are dogs as we say they are. I do not believe all these things that we say men are trash, is because some of them have not been correctly aligned. Some of them were neglected. Some of them were abused. I don't think any right man in their mind would abuse children, would rape, would do all these horrific things that we hear men are doing. They need to be, the narrative needs to change. And it changes by the men saying, I want to be accountable, and I want to make sure that the pattern stops with me. I don't want to see boys from Kasi being thugs, staying home and doing nothing. I want them to be hustlers. We want businessmen who have influence in high places to say, I'm going to partner with Dlalisa. I want these boys to be exposed to right living. Because sometimes it's not a matter of give us money. You know, if you take children and you expose them to the right atmosphere, that enough can change them. But we don't have that, Uguti, those of us who have made it in life to go back to the location and say, we want to rehabilitate, we want to change the narrative. We don't want the same pattern to repeat itself. So that, for me, is the kind of partnership we want. That we want men who have made it to go back and say, we want to pass it down. Maybe they did not have it easy, but there's no need for all of us to fall in the same pit. We can be warned by those abangaphambili. Doesn't isiZulu sisho njalo indlela ibuzwa kwabaphambili. Laba abaphambili mababuyele emuva ukuthi bafana asenzeni izinto so. Mina ngimoshile ne, mara there's no need for you guys ukuthi umoshe, lungisa, so that we can redeem time. We can get things quicker. You know, we were talking even before the shoot, we want a lot of partnership amongst people of color. We have a lot of work to do. We need to start believing in each other. We need to be accountable. Without other people coming, because no better person can help you than Nina yourselves. So, Mina, that's the kind of help that I want. With Abu Baba, males must come and join with us so that we can change the narrative.
Right. I think I hear a part 2 loading here because there's a lot that needs to be said. But thank you so much, lady, gentlemen, for joining us today on this beautiful podcast. And this is a start of something beautiful and great. And I would love to encourage you back at home to please like and subscribe on the Dlalisa Moyeni Foundation podcast. We're out on YouTube, but we are, of course, on social media where you can get to see what we're all about and interact with us. But also, please leave the comments down below so that we can hear from you and also to hear what it is that you would also love to see here on our podcast. But from us, it's love and light, and see you next time. Thank you so much for joining us. Shap, shap.